Welcome to my brand new podcast, Mayhem, hosted by myself, Danielle. And joining me along the way on each episode are some amazing guests talking their personal journeys of parenthood, whether it be through younger kids, teenage kids, or adult children, and some professionals along the way as well that can potentially help some of you. I know I've learnt loads already from these people, so hopefully some of you do too. And I really hope you enjoy it, have some laughs along the way. I'm sure there'll be some funny stories in there. So yeah, all I ask is please subscribe to whatever platform it is that you're listening on. It really helps the podcast. And then hopefully I can bring some more amazing guests on there. So yeah, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the show. I just wanted to use this opportunity quickly to tell you about one of our amazing sponsors that we have on the podcast. They are a business called Mummy and Me Baby and Children's Wear. They are a gorgeous brand that sell the most beautiful products that you can have personalised for your children, and they are stunning. So for any occasion, birthdays, Christmas, Easter, Valentine's, everything, they do it. So check them out on their socials, on Facebook, on Instagram, and also their website, www.mummyandmebaby.co.uk. Thank you. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Mummy Mayhem podcast. This week I have Amanda joining us. Hello Amanda, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Are you?
Yes, good, thank you. So Amanda is an NLP coach, business coach, and helps parents and children. And yeah, so hopefully we're just having a chat before now, and I'm really excited to hear more about how you help people, and the language. I think that's probably the biggest thing people are going to take away from this conversation, is about the language that we use and things like that. But do you want to start by introducing yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Amanda Box from Outside the Box Coaching and Training. You can kind of get off with the name. As you said, NLP has been something that's helped me no end through my journey with my children. So I've got two children, Emily's 9 and Alfie's 7. And they are very different characters. And I would definitely say through my experiences, NLP, getting to the stage with NLP and what I do, so I train in it as well as coach individuals, that we don't always realise the things that we say to ourselves and to other people, how it affects the actual reaction we get. So NLP can absolutely change the way you see the world, but also consider other people's behaviours rather than it actually being a person. And we can then teach that and learn how it can help our lives every day. And as a mum with a very busy life and craziness, like it can help us relieve some of that stress in the things that we say and the things that we do with our children.
Yeah, no, it's when you think about it, it is, because I don't know much about it. I've got a friend that is training in it currently, but when you do think about what you say and how you say, like we were just saying before in the chat, it's not what you say, it's how you're saying it. And yeah, I think it does really help when you're actually consciously thinking about that. So yeah, it'd be great to get some hints and tips off you later on in the conversation about that, how parents can talk to their kids when their kids are stressing them out like they do to us. Just yeah, we do it to ourselves as well, don't we? I know I sometimes forget that I was a kid sometimes, especially with the teenager, trying to think right, okay, I was a teenager once, this is how I acted. And yeah, it's hard, and it's hard, I think, us parents put a lot of pressure on ourselves and feel shit then when we've said something out of line. And I guess that your job with helping the parents is to actually get them to realise that, okay, you said it, but you can repair that.
Absolutely. And I think we go with, there's no rule book, is there, with parents? We kind of go with, okay, how's this going to work for me? And I think sometimes we forget that we have our own model of the world and our own values. So everybody has their own model of the world, which they've learned through their experiences, through their upbringing. Because a lot of the time, a lot of the things that are our values come from our parents. So for the first year, so 0 to 7 years, everything we learn from our parents, we take on board as our values. But what will happen is then you have different experiences and things that you go through life that then make your model of the world. And that can change with work experiences, with the environment you live in, with the relationships you've got, not only with friendships, but also with your husbands, your wives, things like that. All of that can change. But the world is always changing. So one thing that I've talked about with my mum and dad is that, like, they're nearly 80, and sometimes you try and follow the same heritage, but the world's changed. So if we parent you in the same way as they did, which sometimes you try to, it's an upward battle, because the things that the children have got their hands on, the things that they know, but at 9 years old, well, I don't remember knowing as much as my daughter knows about empathy and the things they question us on, and you go, oh my God, how do I answer that? What do I do with that? I mean, my daughter loves Call the Midwife.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly the conversation. And my mum was watching that so she then picks up that. But for us, as when we were 0 to 7, well, I'm in my 40s, so it's kind of like, I don't remember ever seeing things like that or having a conversation.
No.
So we couldn't parent in the same way our parents did. Because now they have that knowledge and things. We've got to change our language and the things that we do. So they always feel like they're informed to an extent, but we're not closing their off. And obviously years ago, it was very much that your children were there, but they had to behave in a certain way. They weren't allowed to say things and do this. And that world's changed, because now the expectation is we hear that child's voice and we focus on that. And I'm very, I guess, more child focused in that way now because of NLP and because how that's changed my experiences, because they're learning so much more and they're adapting to that as well. So it means we've got to learn in a way to adapt, but in the right way that it works for us in our world.
Yeah, and going on, like, touched on that subject, that the world has changed. Like, when me and my husband we'll have discussions, and like, we don't really notice things like with our 6-year-old, because she's so young still. Like, we can still sort of like protect her. We've got her in like her little bubble sort of thing, like from the outside world. But with our 13-year-old, she is out in the like big wide world now, and I do, like, going back on the kids asking loads of questions, I do find that kids now ask so many more questions than we ever did. Like, and I don't know whether it's because we're more open to talk about things than maybe like our parents' generation was. Because like, we're very open we don't hide anything. Everything's told the truth, like age appropriate sort of thing. And yes, I don't know if it's because of that way, or if it's because there is so much out there now. They've got access to like TikTok, to Instagram, to Facebook. Like, I mean, I go through TikTok. I will sit there and scroll through, and I learn lots of stuff off TikTok. So like that, I don't know if it's because they're seeing that, and then they're coming to us and they're like expecting us to know the answers to things. But like, so like, I don't know if you've heard about the musical Six with Henry VIII. Yes, but my 13-year-old is obsessed with like the song. So obviously, like, and like I am now, and like our 6-year-old listens to it. So then she's asking loads of questions. She's like, "What just beheaded me?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, we're going there." Like, and you have to like try and then she wants to know everything about Henry VIII. Like, they're so inquisitive now, and I'm like, right, okay, we've got to try and do this like age appropriately, but like without lying. So tell me, like, because you want them to know the truth, because they probably find out anyway, won't they, on like Google?
Absolutely. And then they'll go, you didn't share any of that. Yeah. And that's the thing of, we are very much more open now, but in the extent to our model of the world. So they're learning so much from teachers and things like that then they're like, hold on a minute, my mum didn't tell about that. I'm going to go and ask her about that. I remember my nephew being at school, and he came out, it must have been within the first few weeks, and they've been doing some adding, and he'd shown me this sheet of paper, and it got 5 + 5 = 11, and there was a tick next to it. So maybe me at that point went, no, it's not. 5 + 5 = 10. Look, like this. And he was like, the teacher's put it, it's 11, and she's ticked it. So to him, in his world, wow, the teacher's right. He's really learning from that teacher. So that you can say as much as you like, it's 10, but it's 11, it's got a tick next to it. And I think to this day, I still remember that conversation with it, because I think, well, yeah, that's it. We take so much in. So like TikTok, from YouTube, all that kind of stuff. And at the younger ages, we're looking at that in our model world going, well, that's right, because that's what they're showing me. I'm taking that all in. And that is like life hacks and things like that. My daughter likes to share all the life hacks and things like this. If you're on the beach, and this is really good with nail polish. Did you know about this? And I'm like, oh my God, where did you get all that from? There's everything there. It's like the games, Minecraft and Roblox and things like that. Now, for me, I couldn't even do Mario Karts as a kid. I'm surprised I could drive, because I was like, why does this not work? Because I can drive. And if I think you watch things on the telly and you go, perhaps I could be a doctor now because I've learned that script, so I know that's handy. Now, as we're older, we know that's not the case. But if you said that to a child, they'll be like, I watched that. I could do that. You see that volcano they've made? I could do that. And in their mind, they think, I've took that on board. I've learned that. And it's then it's an over the years. You're not until we're 25 that our brain is fully functioning and understands realities of Shen. Now, when I think back over my life, I never knew about that. And I think how different I am now, because I process things differently. So we think years ago, and we got married very young. So I was 24 when I got married. And now I see the difference in that and how I am with my kids. Because I think, oh my God, I was so young. And at that point, I didn't really understand life. I mean, and in my mum the world, I think my mum and dad kept me very close and very protected and things like that. So I felt quite naive now when I look back. And also, I never wanted to talk about anything. And as you can see right now, I do talk about a lot of things. But I was always that life was a certain way. We talk about NLP, it's very important about our values. And if things go against our values, that's when we become overwhelmed and concerned about things. What's going on in here is affecting what's happening on the outside. Somebody I was talking to about Christmas cards. Now, Christmas cards years ago was a huge thing of everybody writing their cards and things like that. And my mum still does this to the day. My dad goes out and posts his cards and things like that. Encourage that with me. And it was always a thing that I would always do for people's birthdays and things. And then learning about NLP, I thought, why do I get so frustrated about doing these cards and pleasing people and sending out birthday cards and all the rest of it? And sometimes you don't see them. And I'd actually got a client that came in and said, oh my God, we're now December the 1st. I've not even sent my Christmas cards out, and I hate doing it. I said, well, why are you doing it then? She said, my nan always did it. My mum always did it. I said, but is it something that you really want to do? No, not really. But it's just because it was a value that was instilled to us years ago. Now you can put a message out on Facebook. After Christmas.
Text them. Yeah.
And it still has the same feeling because someone thinks you've acknowledged them. Yeah. But it's not took you hours and hours out of your day when you are trying to fulfill what the kids need, you're trying to do what your parents need, all those kind of things. There's things of making it simpler and more efficient in the world that we're in, rather than taking values from before and getting frustrated that we're not achieving them because the world's changing.
Yeah, it is. And like with the cards, like I'm terrible. I don't send birthday cards. I try to. Like I've brought some, and even for this year, beginning of this year, and I've forgotten to send them. Like texting my cousin, like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I forgot to send your birthday cards. I try to, but I've just come to realization, like I'm just not a card person. And I say, like, we've got and it is the older family members that do like still send cards, and we try to send ones to them because obviously that's like that's their values and they like to send the cards and that. But yeah, it it stresses me out. I buying them and then like figuring out like, oh, you've got one from the kids, one from you, and it's just too much. And when I can just text someone or I'm seeing someone, I'm like, happy Christmas. Like, it's so much easier.
Well, we talked about earlier, we were saying about history of things, and I said, the way that I was drawn to NLP was because I got divorced. I'd got back to the UK. I lived in Australia for some time, and I wanted to change my life because I haven't got children. But it's just bringing it back to the cards, because I shared a post last week because we had Valentine's Day. Everybody loves Valentine's Day and loves the card. Well, this little story never gets old because my sister still laughs and laughs her head off. So when I was saying I got married very young, well, I got married when I thought I was quite young. At 23, I was very excited on my first Valentine's Day to be getting a Valentine's card that said fiance on it. As I opened the card, inside it said, "I'm really looking forward to being your wife." Well, I was marrying a man, so this man obviously had not read this card inside it to pick it. Well, it's a thing, but cards were never his thing. But in my mind, I was like, that card's everything to me. You know, the words in it, what it meant in me is expressed. What? But if the person that's sending that card is not a card person and they're doing it to please somebody else, now I can acknowledge that. But at the time, I remember ringing my mum in tears. Oh my God, he's not read the card, he's not looked at it, what's he done? And my sister was 18 at the time, and she was howling, I mean proper like banging the floor, howling, laughing all over the place because she thought this was the funniest thing. And it's that thing of them realizing that not everybody's the same.
No.
Everybody has different things, and it's kind of also respecting that other person's model of the world, because I imagine my ex-husband was probably distraught over this card because of my sister laughing, me getting upset about it when he was trying to please me with a gesture. And it's that thing around kids as well. We are constantly trying to please them, but it's looking at their model of the world. The language and things that we use is really important to make sure that not only we get the response that we want, but also that we're understanding their needs and they're getting that response as well.
Yeah, and it's really hard. It's really interesting you saying that our minds don't fully function with like real reality until we're 25. So I became a mum when I was 18.
Wow.
And then I had my second, and then I had my youngest when I was 25. So I had basically both my kids before my mind. It's fully seeing reality. And I've had conversations with people before about being like a young mum, and now it's sort of making sense because I found parenting so much easier at 18 than I did at 25, and it is probably because I'll admit I was so naive to life in general. So you saying that makes complete sense. That I just wasn't seeing like real reality. I was still living in like a kid's bubble, really, in my head, like really naive to things. And that's really interesting, actually.
And that's a growing curve where you've grown together with that. And if you think at 18 also, the knowledge and the things that you had, you were able to grow together, because I think that's huge. And I think we sometimes miss that, and we don't always respect other people's model of the world. But when you look at it, how much have you grown and learned to the point when you get to 25, then you can actually reflect back on that? Because I think we also don't reflect on things enough. We don't spend that time to sit with ourselves and go, do you know what? Look what I have achieved. Look what I've got through to get to the point where I am now. Because that's the things that happen, our experiences, whether we go through divorces, whether blended families is a big thing now, and we're making those transitions that potentially would never have happened years ago.
Yeah,
and amazing to see.
Yeah, and reflecting, I need to do more of that, because you can have like a really shit day and then everything's shit, isn't it? Like you think that you failed with everything, but really when you look back and look through like what you've been through to get where you are now, okay, it might not be like how you want it, but you've done so much already to get where you are, and like you should be proud of that to then like move forward. So that is something that I am trying to do, and that I think needs to be spoken about more, because and like I guess like when you're reflecting and saying like, oh yeah, I've done a really good job, people don't tend to say that about themselves.
No, that inner voice, we're not kind to ourselves, and we do push and push. And many people see it as failure. With NLP, it's never failure, it's always feedback. And I like to say that to people, in the fact that it is just feedback, because we're not at the end of our story. So you never failed. It's feedback that you can then work on to go, actually, how can I change that? And for me, it's took me, like I say, I'm 44, and it's took me years. Well, I would say since I've turned 40, I finally started to realise that, because for me, divorce was failure, going through a marriage breakup, then having my children, and my children are absolutely the world. I went through so many years of IVF, and Alpha was then a surprise through when I had started network marketing. I changed my life completely, and he was a complete surprise. But for me then to then go to a single mum at that point, it just felt like I had absolutely failed at everything. Now, when I look back 4 years later and think, do you know what? All that I went through and learned through NLP has changed my mindset on that, because there's never any failure. It is only feedback that's got you to where you are. And if we learn from that feedback, your life is just going to get better and better, because you are going to process in a different way. You're going to respect other people's models of the world, their behaviors, and then you can work on it. If you see it all as a failure, that's when you get the shame and the guilt. And a lot of the shame and the guilt that we feel is society based. It's not on how we feel personally. If somebody else is saying that to you, you should be ashamed, you should be embarrassed, but you should never be. You should appreciate what you've gone through and go, do you know what? I appreciate what that person's saying, but that's not my world. This is where I'm at, and I respect what they're saying, but I'm not going to take that on board.
Yeah, no, that's a great bit of advice, actually, because I do think people are very quick to judge other people without realizing actually what they have like been through in their life. Like, I think when people are suffering like addictions, we're very quick to judge and be like, oh, you're an addict of like whatever it is, whether it be gambling or drugs or alcohol. I think people are very quick to judge negatively without thinking, right, okay, all that you've been through, as like you've had so much like crap happen or something, like that's why you are where you are, and what, like, hopefully you get help and whatever like that. But yeah, I do think, and that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to start the podcast, is because I think parents judge other parents so much. Like, we've all got our own ways of parenting. How I might say something to my child, someone else might not say to my child. Like, in our house, we swear. Like, me and my husband both swear. I've never been one to, oh no, there's a child around, can't say a naughty word. Like, I've taught my children, you're not allowed to say these words, which is a bit hypocritical, I guess, because I'm saying them. Like, they're adult words. Like my 13-year-old now I said, as long as she doesn't say them at me, because I've never said them at her, then like that's okay. Like, don't stand there and tell me to like fuck off or something, because I'd probably cry, because I wouldn't do that to her, so I don't expect that done to me. But I'm I've never been one to like hide that away from the kids. And so other parents might be like, hear me speak with like my kids like in presence or whatever, and be like, oh my god, like, why, that's bad, like why is she swearing in front of her kids? But I think it's very, and I got a lot of judgment when I become a mum the first time, because I was 18, and I remember going to a mum and baby class, and it's her health visitor that was actually made comments about like my age and about being a young mum and being a teenage mum, and I just felt like so shit. And then like I didn't go to any others. I only went to one, and I had them comments and was like, no. So I didn't even take my daughter to get weighed or anything like that, because I just thought, no, I'm just gonna get like judged. And I think don't judge people for what you see on the outside, because you don't actually know like their life, basically, is I guess what I'm trying to say with that.
That's a huge part of why people come to see me, though, because something has happened in their lives and they built on that. So say, for example, you had that one experience. What will happen is then we take on what that person said, and we think, right, they must be right then. So I'm not going to any of the groups.
Yeah,
I'm not going to the weigh-ins. I'm not going to do any of that, because somebody is going to say that to me each time. And then every time somebody says, you're a young woman, that's it. You then go, oh God, I remember that experience. That's what that woman said. So she must be right then. So I'm taking that. But in fact, it's not that person, that's their model of the world. Now, so from wherever they've come from, their experiences. So we look at the generations, it's like we are very open. So it must be quite shocking for the older generations to go, you can't say that. But from their model of the world and their experience, they go, you can't. Now, I'm with you. My children swear. My children know swear words.
Yeah, mine.
And they will jokingly say things and stuff like that. And I'm very much like that we know what's time and the place, and we don't say it. There was a woman on Instagram as well that she shared a post and said, I get my children to swear. I say, just say it, whatever you got to say, swear. Because she says, I'm being open with them, and the fact that I'm saying you can do it, they don't want to do it.
No.
So like, why are you telling me I can do it? It's not as fun then now, is it?
Yeah.
So I really shouldn't do it, so I'm not going to do it. And people don't realise what's happened in people's lives to make them the way that they are, and that's their model of the world and their experiences. And it's that reminder of, it's that person's behaviour, it's not them, because they've learned that from somewhere else and they're bringing it in. And whether that be society, whether that be their parents, whether it be schools and their experiences, that they've never experienced that. And I think for me, I love to talk to different people because I think you get that experience. And I think that's where my love, I think, of photography and things comes from, because I love the stories behind the photographs and I love things like that. And I love to take lots of photographs. My phone is like full of different photographs, and then I look through and I think, why did I take a for that? But then somewhere along the line, it's an experience for someone.
Yeah.
My granddad, before he passed away, he put all his photographs into albums. And I keep saying, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. Someone, because then that's the story. And even for my kids, I think what a gorgeous idea that we forget about those things, but bring them out, put the photographs, share them, the experiences. It's like in Facebook world, we delete the past, don't we? Go, oh, no, I'm getting rid of that. I'm not going to share that. I'm going to delete it. But it's still in here. So it's like that is still going to come out somewhere. So for my children, I talk about the past. I talk about why things have happened. You know, when my grandma passed away, I talk about it because I think it's important that we remember how we do, because that's our model of the world, but also to share with somebody else, because your experience could help somebody else that's in that in a positive way, because you might have gone, oh my God, so I never went to any of them groups again because somebody said that. And it's like, well, hold on a minute, that experience could have made such a difference to your initial start out as a mum, that if someone supported you and said, yeah, come on, don't worry about that, you know, just because. So I was the other spectrum, I was the older mum. And it was like a geriatric mum and things like that. But now when I look at it, I'm like, I'm okay with that. Because I think years ago, in my eyes, you did an amazing job. Because I don't think I'd have even handled birth. I couldn't cope with a needle. I was just lying to, not even. Even when I had Emily, I had my mum there. My ex was painting my toenails, and they sent a student to put the finger in. And she said, it could be okay with that. And my mum then went, I think you might need to get somebody else. It was a student, because she said she's likely to walk. And literally, I could hear everybody else going into labour, and I said, I'm going home. My mum was like, it's a bit late for this. I was like, yeah, I'm just not sure it's for me. I think I need to go. So to experience that and be younger and be able to share that, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I think it was so much easier. So I was a little bit apprehensive of birth at 18. Like my sister was quite young, having my niece. She was 21 when she had my niece. And like my mum and my sister had these births, and neither of them had had pain relief. And the joke of the family was like, because I was such like a crybaby, like I'd stub my toe and cry, I was very overreactive of like, if I hurt myself, I would really like make a thing of it. Like if I cut my hand, like when I was younger, I wouldn't let anyone see it or touch it. Like, so the joke of the family was that I was going to be the one that screamed the hospital down because they didn't make a noise and they didn't have pain relief. So I was a little bit apprehensive, but I guess with my age, I was just like, yeah, like it's fine. Like I didn't think of the dangers of childbirth. I didn't think it was a big thing. I thought, yeah, all women do it. It's fine. Like I can do it. And I think that was easier because I did have an amazing birth. I loved that birth. I wasn't like scared. I didn't think the pain was bad, but I didn't think it was terrible. And yeah, I didn't have pain relief, and I, like, not through, like, because I was like, oh, I need to be like them. It was more because I didn't need it. But then when I had my youngest, she was an emergency C-section in the end, but I'd been in labour for about 3 hours, and already at that point I was feeling a bit more like, not of loss of control, but a lot more apprehensive, thinking, oh, this is a lot worse than I remember it being. And I guess it's because I was more aware of things then at that age. So yeah, I found having a kid at 18 so much easier.
And that, what a huge mindset to have, to go, we would have been through this for years. I can do that. That's no problem. And I think that's what happens, where that's your mindset then, and then somebody else will go, oh, I had a shocking birth. Oh, this was awful, and I had this and that. And then you then go, oh God. Oh, that might happen to me then. That might happen to me. And the huge thing there is the mindset, what we've taken on somebody else's experiences, or we're taking on. And that's why a lot more people, I've got a fantastic friend that's local that does all hypnobirthing, and talks about how to keep in control and how to be focused. Now, I think for mine, like you, I didn't have any, I like to be in control. I think that's the thing for me. So I didn't want any medication, or to be, I wanted to feel this baby. This baby's, I waited years for this. This baby's, I couldn't even do the gas and air. I was like, forget that. I just can't cope. I've just got to, but in my mindset, it was all about, I was conscious of the needles and things. So I pushed all that. I thought, this baby's just got to come out. I've just got to do it. And it's like sharing those stories of, if you can get the right mindset in place, that, like, because the human body shouldn't feel pain. And part of the thing where we feel pain is there's a book called The Body Holds the Score. It's a bit of a tough read, but what it shares is how people hold on to things. So if people have gone through trauma, at some point that will come out in your body. So it's like saying, if you've got a sore throat and things, sometimes I say to people, I think you need to say something, or you need to clear something. But when you look back, your body should never have pain or disease or things like that. That's what it's called, dis-ease, because there's something going on in your body, and our mind is so powerful so that everything grows and it doesn't know if it's a negative or a positive. So if we say you can't do something, all your body, your head processes, I can't do that. Well, I would notice at school and things, when there were things going on, I would suddenly be ill. Or if there was, for my mum, my lovely mum, unfortunately, she would pay for things, pay for deposits, for guide camps and things. And I'd be thinking, well, I can't there. It's going to be cold, it's going to be wet, and I'm not really a fan of it. So I would end up talking her out of it, or I'd be ill because I really didn't want to go on it. Because you focus your mind on what you don't want. My little boy is exactly the same. So he went to Bow Manor, they did with the school last week. It was raining. It was awful. He was trying to talk himself out of it for weeks. Now, I was surprised he actually managed to get on it, but I think it was they were telling him that he'd have sword fights and all sorts of stuff. So he was encouraged. But he is very much, you could watch him, and when he focuses on things that he doesn't want, most of the time it happens. So on the Monday morning, he didn't want to go to school. He was adamant. And my daughter will now relay this and go, he focused, didn't he, on what he wanted? And I said, yeah, because he said, I need a day off school. So he's in the playground messing around, and he clocked his head on a windowsill. Now, he's got his hood on and everything at the same time, but he'd been saying, I don't want to go to school. And as I looked at him, I was like, what's that? And I lifted up his hat, and all this blood went down his face. And I was like, oh my God, well, now I know if you hit your head, although it would be the tiniest of cuts, you get a lot of blood. So the next day you took him in, this is before even school starts, takes him in, and you can see him, and he's like, oh, what's this? And she said, no, it's only a tiny cut. A teacher then came in and said to him, oh, why don't you just nip home for an hour, have a rest, have some cowpole, and then come back? Well, the expression on his face, if you knew him, was like, I'm winning at this. This is life. Wow. I ain't coming back. So we had a lovely day home, didn't he, on the Monday, because he'd worked on the focus of what he wanted. And that was, I think I'm entitled to a day off school. And so when Emily came back, she was like, yeah, he really focused, didn't he, on what he wanted? I said, yeah, and I think he did on that. So it's even that with our language and the things that we say, is adapting to what we want, and it does come out in our bodies at times when we're frightened or we've got fear of why we shouldn't do something, and the mind just goes, you need to be safe, come with me, as a
Yeah, I think, and mate, saying that, that's probably why I was feeling worse with my second, because I literally gone in and she was breech, and they said at the time, because her cord was underneath and that was coming first, they were like, oh no, we've got to do emergency cesarean. So then in my mind then I was like, oh great, like complete like fail, and like got to have an operation. And that's probably why I felt so much worse and like a lot more pain. And I wasn't even in like the later stages of labour at that point, I was only in early, whereas before, like I did basically hypnobirthing with my first one without even realising.
Yeah.
But for my second one, like for my youngest daughter, that was I wanted a hypno home birth, like in water, and then that like got all ripped away from me. So then that is probably why then I felt as crap as I did, like in before having the cesarean then.
Because it went against what you wanted. And I think
Yeah.
as well, with part of the hypnobirthing thing, it's always about writing what you want, but knowing you have control. So obviously if things do change, and it kind of like prepares you, it's like the reflection thing. If you've reflected on things, it prepares you for the next month or the next week, what's going to be happening, what's going to be happening with your children, what's going to be happening with life, you know, all that kind of thing. If you've wrote it down on what you want, your mind is already there, because it doesn't know the difference between reality and not. So it is focusing on what you want. We were talking about earlier, somebody who comes to me and her child was being bullied. But she didn't realise the language she was using. So I work with both parents and children. But I think the real enforcement with this, and what's different to counselling, is you are with counselling, it's a very much a service where you work with one person and they go back into the environment, and what can happen is we're not getting to the root cause of why this is happening and things like that. So the discussions and things I have is also always including the parent or people that are close to them, so like relationships, it's talking to both parties, because what can happen is we don't realize what we're saying is impacting that, and obviously your mind doesn't know the difference whether it's reality or not. So if you're focusing on that bullying and what's happening every day, what's happening is when they're coming home, or they've had that in that mind is that kid's going to bully me, or that's going to happen, what's, you know, and then you come back into the home and the parent just how was it today? Was it bad? What happened, sort of thing? And you're focusing then on that bad stuff. Whereas if you focus on what you want, so what we want is to have a good day at school, have a really nice time. What's going to be the best bit of your day? Well, actually, I really like English, or things like that. And they leave the house then feeling, I'm really enjoying English. I've had that chat with my mum, feel really good. And then when they come back, you ask them, how was your day? What was your best bit? So you're focusing on the good stuff rather than the bad stuff.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful for that. Even like just for me, I think that'll be really helpful for a lot of parents, because all kids experience bullying, whether like at some point, don't they? Like, I've had quite a bit of bullying with my 13-year-old. She's experienced quite a lot of bullying throughout primary and the early years of secondary school. And like going back to what you said about your mum would pay for deposits for things. I've done it for her, paid deposits for like ski trip, and she's talked herself out of it. She will like wake up in the morning, like Sundays are the worst. So Sunday night, she'll already be saying, don't want to go to school in the morning, don't feel great, don't want to go to school. And I'm like, well, you've got to go to school. And then Monday, no, mum, I'm really ill, I can't go to school. And I'm like, no, that you've got to go to school. So how could I, with that, change maybe what I say? Because I'm just like, no, Liv's like, come on, you got to go to school. Like,
what we don't realise, although we can be having a conversation, we project out our fears. So do you remember when I was at school as well, people would say, I can read your face. And I said, no, you can't. You don't know what I'm saying. But say you've got a fear, like, so somebody would say something to me. In fact, I remember being on a course years later, and somebody had said something that I disagreed with, and I went, and the woman that was teaching looked at me and said, Oh my God, did you realise? I mean, we're friends years later and stuff like that, but she reminds me of, she goes, do you realise it was written all over your face and then you did this? As if to say, well, I disagree with that. So we don't realise that we actually project out what we think. So, for example, if you're having a conversation, but you're thinking, yeah, I'm really, and she really needs to go to school, blah, 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 all the rest of it, all that child's going to feel is that tension, that energy in the room is, well, my mum's really worried about me, but if I keep talking to her, she's going to actually take me out of that environment, or, you know, what's going to happen? And so it's that thing of focusing again, what do you want that conversation to look like? You want your daughter to feel comfortable on Sunday night, but it's going to be a good day on the Monday. And so we focus on what we want. So what does good look like? What's it going to look like to you on that day? Right, okay, so, well, I've got maths, English, I'm not really keen on that. Okay, but focus on those things that you really like in that day. And we talk then around about those things. But what's really important with our kids is the language that we use to identify, like, for example, we have our own representational system, our own internal language, and it could be you're a thinker. It could be that you like to talk and you hear things. It could be that you see things. And it's those things that we then look at in the language we have with our children. So, for example, my little boy is very visual. He has to see things. So what can go wrong in the mornings and things like that if he can't see a plan for the day, where the uniform is, where the shoes are, where the toothpaste is. Now, being a 7-year-old, toothpaste is not on his mind. It's not really a thing that he's interested in. So I have to then encourage that. Here's the toothpaste. The fact that it's been in the same place for years, you have to encourage that so he can see it. If I try and talk to him, so can you talk to me about, can I do this, that, or the other? He will not do it. Whereas my daughter is very much like that and wants to hear things and can you hear this? Can you do that? And so we adapt the language we use, but you can easily do that by listening to your child and seeing what they say. So if they're a feeler and they say, I'm feeling this, you go back with, how do you feel about this? And you go back with the same language. So you're also mirroring it. So with Alfie, I'll ask him, can he see the uniforms here, the things like that? So example for the trip last week, I had to literally pack his bag, but show him exactly where things were. Because if not, there was nothing in that bag. She didn't pack anything for me. The fact that there were loads and loads of stuff, he wouldn't have seen it. With Emily, we have to have a conversation, so we have to talk about it because she wants to talk about it. If you've got someone that's a thinker that says, I think a lot, they can be a challenge in any relationship because they're already thinking it in their head without actually saying it. And that's where we don't communicate. And you have to go back with, well, what do you think? So if we adapt to what they're saying, you will get more from them. Because what's really what I do a lot with relationships in couples is if the person is a feeler and the partner is a thinker, if you ask a thinker what they feel, they're more like your mathematicians. It's all about stats and numbers and things like that. They're not going to answer. They'll be like, I don't feel anything. I'm not that kind of person. But if you ask a feeler what they think, then they have overwhelm because they're like, they want an exact answer. It's like 5 + 5 = 10. Well, no, I feel it's this. And you get that where the conflict is coming before you've had the conversation.
That's me and my husband.
But if you go back to him with the language he uses, I can guarantee you'll have a conversation that you'll go, God, he spoke to me, he said that. So one of the relationship counselling things that I do, coaching with a lady, there's a lot of people come on their own, which I think is really important because we forget about the relationship with ourselves.
Yeah.
And that is the internal tool. But she said, my husband never talks to me about anything. And I think this, and this. I said, well, do you think he's a thinker? Or she says, no, he says, I feel. I said, go back to him and ask him something in his day, how he felt about. And she came back and she was like, oh my God, he speaks. After all this time, he speaks. And I thought, I know, because we're asking in our wrong language, which means we don't get the answer that we want. But also, if you've thought about that conversation beforehand, so whether it's you're going to school or you're going to a business meeting, you've thought what that looks like already. In your head's already visualised that, and it doesn't know reality, so it thinks that's happened. So when you have those conversations, you're already going in your mind with, this is what I want, rather than what I don't want. So you want your daughter to be going into school happy. So you then go, this is what I want. how can I get that for her? Well, if you're going in with that conversation, let's have a look. What does Monday look like? Are we prepared for Monday? Great. Got all that there. We've had a conversation and she's really looking forward. So like last week, it was the highlight of pancake day. Really looking forward to coming home on Tuesday having pancakes. So for us, that's what Emily and I talked about in the morning. What have we got for the pancakes to go on? And then for her, she's already visualising that good day coming home for her pancakes.
Pancakes are good. They can make the cruffiest day be like great if you know you're coming home. I'm a bit like that. If I know I'm coming home to like a good dinner, that anything could happen in my day, but I get my dinner and I'm like, oh yeah, I've been really looking forward to this.
Alfie's is hot chocolate. Alfie's he's got a hot chocolate in his day planned out, happiness with marshmallows on the top. Makes his day.
Oh, simple things, isn't it?
But that's the thing. I think we try to make our language and our communication complex, whereas if we can get the language, we'll get the response. And if in our heads we then go, actually, this is what I want. I want my daughters to be happy in school. I want our daughters to be happy. How can I make that happen?
Yeah, because I do focus on what I don't want. I do focus on like, oh, I don't want her to have shit at school today, or I don't want her to have a bad day, or I don't want her to kick off about going to school today. So yeah, if I split it and think about what I do want, it's like a more positive aspect of the conversation. I shall try that. Thank you very much. There's loads of people out there.
What's really huge as well for everybody is that we're all doing the best we can with the resources we've got. So we're getting through those days and we're doing the best we can. So we're going through processes, and it may be mediation, it may be divorces, things like that. It may be illness, it may be whatever that's going on in your life. It's a process, and you go, do you know what? I'm absolutely doing the best that I can do. And it's that's the thing about being kind to yourself, going, I am doing the best I can do with the resources I've got.
Yeah, I think, again, like outside influences, because you'll look on social media and you'll be like, this person will be like, oh, I've made 10 grand this week just by doing this. And then, or, oh, I've just bought a brand new house, or, oh, I've done this week and I'm going on holiday. Whilst that's all great, that might make, and like you post it by all means, like I love people shouting about and celebrating what they achieve. I think we need to like also think if someone's like managed to get out of bed that day, like that's a celebration for them. So whether it's like small, and we don't tend to celebrate the small. So for me, if I've got my eldest to school without an argument and without her saying that she doesn't want to go to school, if she's just got up and got ready and got on the bus to go to school, like I've literally one parent in life like that morning. Like that is a massive thing for us. And I don't think we celebrate like the little things. I think we see celebration as only allowed for like big achievements, like, oh, we've just booked a holiday, or we've just bought a new house, or something like that. We don't celebrate, and everyone has got something to celebrate every single day. And I think like if we're able to celebrate the little things, it would make us a lot happier.
Absolutely. And I think, I mean, like you say, you get all these marketing things that go out on Facebook, and it's like, oh, if you do this and you're doing this and I'll help you with this and all that, and I can get you 6 figures and all the rest of it. That is only ever marketing, and everybody goes through something in their lives. So for me, I know there's a lot of companies out there that do learn NLP for £9. And I always think, well, would you pay that for a doctor? He's done a degree or whatever, and pay £9 for it. Would you go to that person as a specialist to go, they know their stuff? Because you'd be like, hold on a minute, does it really help? I'll pay £9 for that. Well, it's took me, like I say, I've done it over quite a long time with an amazing company. But the thing behind it all is that I will never stand there and say my life is perfect. I will never say, because I still have to do the work on me. And it's that thing of, you have to do the work. So I will always go through process. There's an illness in my family. There's divorce, and all those kind of things, you know, that goes with as well a blended family and things like that. There's all those kind of things that I still have to work on myself. And on those days as well, if you are having a challenge, is like, one, perhaps don't look at Facebook, but also be that person that goes, that doesn't affect me. That's their life. And what else is there? Because I will share things like, I am not the earliest people. I like lying in the morning. I like quiet mornings. Obviously, with kids, that very rarely happens, and if ever. And we are always to the point of rushing out the door. But if I rush my kids to get them into school and they were still in a bad mood or things like that, they can have a rough day. So if it takes me a little bit longer and they are in a better mood when they get to school, and to encourage them, I'm okay with that. And it's kind of that being okay. I have a wonderful mum friend as well that I think she's amazing. She's so organised. And to the extent I go, I cannot look at these WhatsApp groups. Because as well, you get the parents that's done everything, and then the parent that's asking 30 questions. I go, oh, can you help me? And she will just go, you just need to know this.
Yeah.
That is it. And it's almost like all these WhatsApp groups and things like that are all spinning in your head, and you go, I don't need that. You just need, sometimes it's like, take yourself out of those groups.
Yeah, I'm not in any parenting groups, nothing. I'm literally like, I've got the school app that I have that's linked to like my calendar, so anything that's going on in the school is like on there, so that's what I see. And I've not got like the friendship group at the school with the school mums that my kids go to school at, but yeah, if there was groups, I would not be in them because I am not the organised mum. My life is always rushing. Like, I'm always someone said to me the other day, like, you're always really busy. I was like, yeah, I know. I don't know why. Like, literally, like every single day, like I finished work and I'm like, right, we've got to go to pick up the kid. Like, well, just pick up my youngest, and my eldest meets us at the yard. I'm like, right, we've got to do the horses, and we've got to get home, we've got to do. And I always feel like I am always in a rush, and I don't know how to like get out of that rushing feeling, because no matter how early I get up, I could get up 2 hours early, do all the same stuff, and then still be rushing.
See, and okay, but I say have that list. The list, get it out of your head, because what causes overwhelm and things like that is the things that we cannot control. So I do a thing in my sessions for the parents and the kids that I'll be hoping but I draw 2 circles that overlap. We have what we can control on one side, what we can't control on the other, and in the middle is the maybe. So what overwhelms kids at school can be uniform. Can you change that? No, you've just got to can't go with it. What you have for lunch? Well, to an extent you can, because you could choose what you have in your packed lunch or things like that. So you can change them in the boxes. But once you've wrote your list of things that you cannot control, it's always push that aside. You go, the only things I can work on are the things that I can control, because what comes with overwhelm and being busy is we've got all this going on in here as well. So we're like kind of going on that treadmill. Oh my God, there's this to sort out and this to sort out. But we can't control everything. We can only focus on the things that we can control. But if you've got a list and you've cleared some of that out of your head, it'll help you sleep at night, because you go, do you know what? Actually, that thing that I'm worrying about, there is absolutely nothing I can do about it. That thing that I can do, I can get up in the morning and I can help, because I can do that, or I can do this that's going to help it. But all those things, and what most people find as when they're worried or they're anxious over things, is the things that they can't control, and they're taking over on what's going on in here. And I think for everybody that's huge, because I was kind of like, everything has to be perfect. Everything has to be perfect. You've got to be like this, you dress like this. People will know me. You're very lucky if I brush my hair in the morning when I go in the schoolroom. I have a hat. It's not no pink hat. But before that, I had years where I wouldn't go out without makeup on, without my nails done. And that came from, I was a mortgage advisor years ago, and I was 19 and I trained to do my mortgages, and I'd done one of my first meetings, and the guy said to me, you've been great, that's really helpful, it's just a shame about your nails. and I used to bite my nails. But you think, what's that got to do with a mortgage meeting? But I think because I was very young, and people would go, oh, she don't really know much about mortgages, but I'd learnt my stuff, so I knew it was my nails, and so that affected me because I thought everybody's looking at my nails. Well, so for years I had my nails, and if a nail broke, I couldn't go out on a Saturday night, and I'd have to put tape over it to go to work. I'd have to have my makeup done, my hair done, and everything. And I think we kind of get this mass thing of we have to do all this, we have to look like this, we have to be like that on Facebook, and it's like we don't have to be perfect. Because if you are striving perfection, nobody is perfect. And you go, do you know what? Like this morning, we've had a laugh, we couldn't get on, and then I was like, oh my God, yeah, I'm coming, but I've just got to collect the kids, or I've just got to do this. These things happen, and as a mum, it's that kind of stop with the perfection. Because the perfection is the thing that kills all that joy and all that fun that you could have. I mean, I'm lucky if I remember first having Emily and thinking I'd gone into Asda and I realised I'd got all sick down my shirt, and I was mortified because I was like, but then I thought, in all fairness, it was Christmas. I got a Christmas hat on and all sick down my top. So if anybody had looked at me, they'd have probably just thought, she's a bit nuts. It's fine. But in my head, I thought, oh my God, this isn't perfect. But nobody's perfect. Absolutely. We strive. Share things on Facebook that are not perfect, because that will inspire somebody else to go, do you know what? I am a bad day too.
Yeah, I think that is the problem with social media, and that is what I'm trying, like, because I know it's all fake. I know the perfect life on social media is fake. There is no perfect life. Like, that person at some point in their day will be unhappy. They're probably really unhappy because they've just spent 2 hours cleaning one corner of their room for a photo of their kids that they've spent like 2 hours getting ready for, whatever. I know it's all fake, but I'll look at it still and be like, like, you still feel a bit like, oh God, like, it was the Christmas tree. It's like, oh, my Christmas tree, I don't like that. Like, yeah, I'm gonna have a professional person come in and decorate mine. That's why, like, I know it's fake. And this is what I'm trying to tell, like, my eldest, like, the stuff you see on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, it's all shit. It's all fake. It's like, oh, yeah, I know. And I'm like, yeah, you know, and I know, but it still affects me. So, like, let's try and, like, limit time on the apps and things like that, so you're not constantly seeing them sort of things. And I'm the world's worst parent for limiting time on apps and things like that, but I'm trying to get her to understand, like, I know she knows it's all fake because I know it's all fake, but it still has an impact on me. So, like, if it's an impact in a 31-year-old, it's going to impact a 13-year-old. And no one's life is perfect. And there was a quote, like, I can't remember who it was, someone famous was like, had a mansion, had all the money, had loads of fame, but they would literally, like, sit in their house crying all day. Like,
because it was not what they wanted. It was
yeah. And on social media, their life looked amazing, because we can all make our lives look amazing. I can look like I've got a show home on social media quite easily, tidy it up a little bit, put some,
a bit near.
Put some filters on it and whatever, like, smooth it all out. You can, like, make it look amazing. But, like, when you walk in my house, you'll be like, oh, it's a house that's lived in. And, like, because that used to be a massive thing for me, like, oh my God, my house isn't spotless when people come round. And I'm like, yeah, but now I think it's a house. We've got 2 children, we've got 2 dogs, we've got horses, so we're in and out with, like, mucky boots. Like, it's winter, the garden is boggy, so there's gonna be mud somewhere. Like, if there's a little bit of mud on the door, then that's okay. Like, the house is lived in. And it's taken me, like you with the makeup thing, it's taken me a long time to realise, like, yes, it's okay. Like, no one's life is perfect. You don't need to live in a show home. Like, your houses are lived in. Don't apologise, like, for mess and things like that, because no one's house is going to be tidy 24/7.
You want your house to be lived in a place that you feel safe, and an environment that you like. So some people can find, like, oh, it's like decluttering. I've never been very good at it. I used to keep loads of stuff, but I have started following people. I go, oh, this is interesting. Perhaps I'll do that. And if your house is tidier, a lot of people say that, like, for example, in your bedroom, you'll sleep better and things like that. There's things you can do. And we'll have like a day this half term where I'll clear out all the long clothes and things that the kids don't fit and things like that. Because I think if you can spend some time on that, that clears out.
Yeah.
But it's like what I talk about is around the root cause. So some people can find a solution and go, do you know what? That really works for me. I'm going to do that, or that's what I'm going to redo it. But if they get to a point where they're going, do you know, I can't even live with this. This is a nightmare. There's something else going on in here that's a root cause that hasn't been cleared. So we find it's like in January, everyone's like, new me, I'm going to be really healthy, I'm going to do this, I'm going to, and I'll change what I do. Like, so I don't like being outside really. I'm a seasonal dog walker, we walk a lot and stuff like that, and I think, do you know what, if that's all I do in January, walking the dog, I'm good with that. But I might do yoga inside for a few days and things like that, and then I'll pick it up and put it down, because I kind of think, do you know what, if I'm doing some stuff, I'm happy with that. There's some people that are like, oh no, I've read this book, I've read it, like, for example, I loved years ago, have you heard of the Miracle Morning?
No.
He said you can do, and it is fantastic if you like a focus in the morning, but it's like, right, you can scribe in the morning, you can journal, and you can do affirmations, you can visualize things, you can exercise, you can do all this within 6 minutes. So you could do it in an hour, or you can do it in 6 minutes. So you kind of go, right, I need to do this every morning. But what happens when you've read these books and you've done all this stuff, and then all of a sudden something happens, the kids are crying for you, or you haven't had a chance to do that 10 minutes, then everyone goes, well, this didn't work. That's it. It's just proven for me. I can't do that. And with NLP, it's like a set of models and things. It's not got to be the same every day. So you kind of get to the exception that actually the kids are asleep. I'm having that extra 10 minutes in bed this morning because I feel I need that. Or actually, I need that bit of exercise this morning, so I'm going to give myself 10 minutes to do that. And it's more, you get to know your body and feel what you need to do. But if we're reading all these books and these things are not working and we pick up something else, is something more going on that somebody's told you that this shouldn't happen, or in your model of the world. And that's where we need to clear out that stuff, because without it clears it all. And it means you don't go back to it. You might have triggers and things like that, you need help in other emotions, but it clears it. So, for example, if you go to anger management, do we want to manage the anger, or do we want to clear it, get rid of it? I don't want to manage. I don't want to be angry forever or things. I want to clear it. And that's the important thing about NLP. It clears that stuff so you can then focus on what you want and get what you want, because you are clearing it rather than going, let's find the next best thing. Let's find the next best thing.
Yeah, you're curing it. You're not just putting a plaster on it. You're getting to the root cause and getting rid of it, and starting afresh, basically, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it's like clearing that clear canvas so you can then start again with doing the things that you want. And a lot of people, whether it's in business or personal lives, the past sometimes tries to catch up with us because we haven't dealt with it. And whether, especially when you're going through processes such as divorce, and I will say this on relationships. So I was married, got divorced. Then I had a relationship with my children's father, and then that broke down. And last year I got married again. So 20 years to the year, I got married again. But that wouldn't have happened without doing the processes I do myself. So when I actually went on my course, we do something called the Wheel of Life, and you focus on different areas. So family, relationships. I crossed the relationship part out because I said, well, that doesn't apply to me because it's about me and my children. So nobody else is involved in that. When I met John, we went through a process and I was like, stuff's happening again. So I rang the people that did it, and they will probably still laugh as me sharing it. And I went, this NLP stuff doesn't work. It's all happening again. I can't believe it. And they said, well, you didn't do any of the relationship stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, well, that's going to need to work on that. And that was the best thing I ever did, because it's not always about the relationship with the person, but what about your relationship you've got with yourself? Do you feel you deserve the life you've got? Do you feel like you deserve your children? Do you feel like you deserve a new relationship? And so last year, with all that cleared, we had a secret wedding. We follow everybody else's things. I told my mum and dad on the Monday, and we got married on the Wednesday, because I wanted to do it my way. It wasn't about everybody else. It was about us. And I have to say, history is not repeating itself, because I've processed all those things. And I will probably forever have to process things, that things may trigger me, and it's always a working process, but it's finding what works for you, clearing that stuff up. This is nearly why Paul with you, and you will have the life and the relationships that you want.
Oh, I love that. I feel like there's so many things that people can take away from this conversation that we've had, and like help. And if anyone's like really struggling, hopefully they can reach out to you. All your information is below the podcast episode, so people can reach out to you for that. I've got like, as in saying it's a tradition, it is a tradition. The podcast is brand new, so it hasn't got traditions, but it is a tradition. It's gonna be a tradition. Next year when I'm recording, it will still be the same. I asked my guests, whoever it is, if they could give one piece of advice to a new parent, what would that piece of advice be?
My piece of advice would be, you are always doing your best. Whatever happens in that day, you are always doing your best, because we are so taken up by everything else that's going on in the world. And sit with it. When your baby's crying or your baby's sad, sit with it, because make you feel sad, because 9 years down the line, that's gone, and all those things that you worried about are not worth worrying about.
That's so true. Like I get, like now I can get like feel myself getting frustrated because my 6-year-old still wants me to go to bed with her, still wants me to sleep with her. And sometimes I'm like, oh, for God's sake, I just want to go and sit down and have a glass of wine with my husband or something.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, oh, do you know what? Her sister's in the room across the hall, and I have to like go and force myself for a cuddle at night time. And like that's once every now and then. Like never will she like randomly say, oh, Mum, come and give me a cuddle in bed, or Mum, here's a cuddle, or like ever. So now like when I feel myself getting frustrated, I'm like, right, okay, this isn't gonna like last forever, and you're gonna be really sad actually when you don't get this cuddle in bed.
Amazing mums, and you go, they never go, I'm doing the best that I can do. And I see some of the most amazing mums that think they go, I'm doing the worst job in the world, and I'm like, look at your kids. And that thing of they've survived a day, they've survived the next day. You go, high five that child that I didn't know anything about, or you know, that one day they're inside me, now they're here, what the hell do I do with them? Wow. Bringing that life. And it's, remember, you are always doing the best you can ever do. Enjoy every minute. Not every minute. We know we don't enjoy every minute, but the minutes we can enjoy, and you hold them, that new baby smell and everything.
That's the best.
It's way too quickly not to enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think you look back and you will reflect on them. Like I do it now, like when now my daughter's 13, I look back on things that happened like when she was a toddler and things, and like back like in the supermarket tantruming or something like that, and at the point like I wanted to cry myself, thinking, oh my God, like I'm terrible, my child won't even like walk around the supermarket, and now I sit and laugh about it and I talk to her. So
and I think it's that perfection of when you go down to the supermarket, the kid's not stealing something or trying to take something, and we try and hide that. And I think that's the big thing about the memories. Share the fun stuff on Facebook. So my little girl said last week, oh, it's going to be really good in year 6 because I'm going to have my phone and I'm going to walk home and I'm going to ring you to have a chat with you. And I thought, oh, that's lovely. Oh. Alfie piped up, in year 6, I'm going to have a phone, but it's so I can call a taxi.
I love that.
Because it's like remembering those stuff. I share those stuff on Facebook because I think I will forever laugh at things like that. We talk about the Valentine's card. They're things that you don't destroy them and thing, but they're things that have made you who you are, and that is the best thing that you can ever do. When you look back on Facebook, you want to be able to laugh at the things that you've shared or things. Go, wow, her lounge was really tidy.
Oh my God.
2 seconds.
Oh no, Amanda, it's been amazing talking to you. I've taken loads from this conversation, and I bet loads of other people will as well, whether they're a parent or a grandparent, or even like in friendships, you can put this into practice, because we are all different and we all require a different language than someone else. So yeah, no, it's been amazing. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Thank you.
Bye. Really quickly before you go, I just wanted to tell you about another one of our sponsors that we have here on the podcast, and that is the gorgeous Atta Children, the contemporary children's tableware company that's eco-friendly and sustainable. They've got brand new owners, so some really exciting things happening over there for them. So make sure to check them out. They've got the most beautiful designs, colours, perfect for the modern day living. Find them on their socials on Facebook, on Instagram or TikTok, or on their website, which is www.attachildren.com. Thank you.